My husband, Charles, always says that anything I buy also belongs to him. If I don't agree, he says we should get divorced. Charles often takes things from me for no good reason. He even tries to give things I bought for my parents to his parents, just to look good. But that's not right. When I told him the truth about it, he looked shocked. Before I married Charles, my grandparents gave me a gift, real estate. I told them I would use it to help Charles and me in the future, but they warned me to keep it a secret. They didn't want Charles to know I had passive income and enough money to live on. Even though I felt sorry for Charles, I decided to follow my grandparents' advice. After my grandfather passed away, I was living with Charles when something happened. One day, I noticed that $10,000 was missing from the account I used to save money for living expenses. It was a joint account that Charles and I shared, mainly for the money he contributed to the house. I didn't remember taking that much money out, so it had to be Charles. When he came home, I asked him about it. "Hey, $10,000 is missing from our account. Do you know what happened?" I asked. He said, "I lent it to my mom. She was in some kind of trouble." I was upset. "And you didn't think to tell me about it?" Charles seemed unconcerned. "It's my money, we have savings, so it's fine, don't worry about it." I said, "If Lisa, his mom, was in trouble, I understand, but you should have told me. This account is for both of us." I didn't mind helping his mom, but withdrawing such a large amount without telling me bothered me. When I expressed my frustration, Charles got annoyed and quickly left for the bathroom. I felt bad about it. He hadn't acted like this when we first got married. He used to listen to me. Is this how things change in marriage? I wondered. A few days later, I went to my in-laws' house to drop off a package that was sent to our place by mistake. I planned to leave quickly, but they insisted I come in for tea. While I was there, I noticed expensive items, fancy cosmetics, designer clothes, and health products. They were gifts from my wonderful son, my mother-in-law said. I felt uncomfortable. Charles had told me he lent money to his mom because she was in trouble, but now I saw how they were spending it on luxurious items. As I sat there without smiling, my in-laws suddenly became serious and said, as if threatening me, "My son is so kind and thoughtful. What about you?" "Yes, as his wife. Are you treating him well?" "I heard that you're upset with him for lending me money," my mother-in-law added, making it clear that Charles had made himself out to be the victim. I finally understood. Charles had told his parents that he was being blamed for doing something good, which is why they were looking at me like I was the bad one. The more I thought about it, the more I grew tired of both my in-laws and Charles. I never imagined being treated this badly and neglected. Eventually, I started to seriously consider divorce. I thought that if I divorced Charles, I could go back to my parents' house and use my savings to rebuild it. My parents' house is over 30 years old and is too big for them now that my brother and I have moved out. They had some small modifications made to help them, but it's still too difficult for them to manage. A smaller, one-story house would be much better for them. I called my parents to tell them I was thinking about divorcing Charles and rebuilding their house. To my surprise, they weren't upset about the divorce. They were actually happy about the idea of rebuilding the house and told me to tell them more. "I'm so glad you're planning to rebuild it for us. Thank you. Even if we don't live there for long, it's fine because you're using your own savings to do it." I felt encouraged by their words and started planning the rebuilding process, taking it step by step. Just as I was waiting to hear back from the construction company, Charles confronted me. "How dare you use our savings to build a house without telling me?" he yelled, banging his fist on the table. He kept yelling, not caring about how I felt. "I'm building it for my parents to live in," I said calmly. "No, that's impossible. You used our shared money, so my parents should be able to live there," he argued. "Are you planning to squeeze 4 people into a small house?" I asked. He slammed the table again, screaming, "Just give me the house." I realized if I hadn't already told him about my passive income, he would have gotten even angrier when he found out. So, I decided to tell him the truth. "I have passive income from the real estate my grandparents gave me. I've been using that to save up for this project. So I didn't use any of our shared money," I explained. I felt guilty for breaking my promise to my grandparents, but Charles didn't calm down. He slammed the table harder, his anger growing. "What kind of wife hides her income like that? You protect your money while using mine," he shouted. Seeing his red face, I started to understand why my grandparents told me to keep my income a secret. Maybe they had already realized what kind of person Charles was. I'll take the house as alimony, he said, because the house you built as my wife belongs to me too. My husband, Charles, always insisted, I'm the head of the family, and if you don't do what I say, I'll divorce you. His words left me feeling nothing but frustration. How had I been living with him without realizing what kind of man he was? I had always planned to use my passive income only when we couldn't rely on Charles's earnings anymore. If I got sick or injured, I would use it to help us get by. I had intended to save it for our future together and tell him when the time came, but now, I no longer wanted to spend that money on him. Fine, go ahead, I said. I left the house, not wanting to be around Charles. I went to a business hotel for the night to cool off, planning to return the next day. When I came back, Charles was waiting for me with a smirk. He handed me divorce papers that were already filled out. You're lying about your passive income, right? You've been taking money from our shared savings, haven't you? He accused. I was confused. I had told him the truth, and I hadn't lied at all. I'm telling you the truth, I have passive income, I said. Charles just laughed and pushed the divorce papers at me. You can't live without me, he said, then added, you'll let me know when we can move in, okay? I'm going out for a drink. He patted me on the shoulder and left, acting as if nothing had changed. That was when I truly understood who Charles was. He had never respected me, and he never had. I packed my things, filled out the divorce papers, and left. I decided to stay with my parents for now and explain everything to them. They understood, and we agreed to stay together until the house was finished. The next day, I saw that my phone was filled with calls from Charles. I answered his call, hoping this would be the last time we'd talk. Hello? I answered. Hey, all your stuff is gone, he said impatiently. We're getting a divorce, so you can use the empty spaces however you want. I was confused. He was the one who wanted the divorce, so why was he panicking now? Huh? I said. I won't be coming back, so do what you want with the space, he said. I think he finally understood that I had passive income. After a moment of silence, he said in a sweet voice I'd never heard before, can you let my parents live in the new house? I don't mind living with your parents, just please let them have the house. I was stunned. I told you before, it's a small one-story house, I reminded him. Please, he begged, I want to surprise my parents with a house. His words shocked me. He was asking me to give his parents a house I had worked hard to build for my own parents, and call it a surprise? That was crazy. You don't even care about the savings, do you? I said. You never understood how much I struggled to make ends meet and save money. You just waste money and leave all the problems for others. Then you want to show off to your parents, acting like you did everything yourself. But I built it for my parents, I added, frustrated. Charles went quiet. I was fed up. It was clear that he was just trying to use me and take credit for everything. He had no right to take the house I built with my own savings and give it to his parents as if it were his gift. I couldn't let him take advantage of me anymore. The house was for my parents, not his. I would never let him use it to show off. I rejected Charles's request one last time, and he started yelling even louder. But husbands and wives are supposed to help each other. I'll tell them you built the house, please? We're not married anymore, I said. We're strangers now. I already filed for divorce. The day Charles handed me the divorce papers, I had already submitted them to the city office. He had wanted the divorce so badly, and I felt like I needed to leave him as soon as possible. I was already in the process of changing all the paperwork back to how it was before we were married. Charles sounded surprised. You really filed it? Why are you so surprised when you were the one who asked for the divorce? He even suggested, let's start over. Let's try again and be a good couple this time. How could he say that after everything? This was the man who spent our savings on his mother, threatened me with divorce, and made fun of me until the end. I didn't want to be with him anymore. No thanks. Please tell your parents I said goodbye, I said as I hung up the phone. The next day, I got more messages and voicemails from Charles, begging me to come back. He claimed he loved me, but I knew he was only after my money. To completely cut ties, I blocked all contact with him and his family. The house was finally rebuilt, and my parents and I moved into our new home. We were living comfortably, and I felt at peace. Later, I met a mutual friend who knew Charles, and I told her we were divorced. She shared what had happened to him and his family after we split. It turned out that Charles had quit his job suddenly, claiming he no longer needed to work because he had real estate. The company tried to reach him, but when he offered to withdraw his resignation, it was too late. His bosses were angry that he left without notice, and the company soon found out that his real estate wasn't his, but his wife's income. They refused to rehire him. Charles had made fun of my passive income, saying it was a lie, but then he tried to use it to his advantage, even showing off to his parents by offering them a house. He never thought about me or our future. Now, when I think of him, I feel nothing but relief. I heard that Charles moved back in with his parents, but they were apparently very hard on him. He's struggling to find a new job because of his resignation. He's getting exactly what he deserves. As for me, I'm living with my parents in the house I built. I have a job I've always wanted, and I'm enjoying life. I saved my passive income for Charles and our future, but now I'll use it to support the people who've always supported me.